and you also have to realize that we're not all coming from the same starting block. You know,
right.
Some people came from abusive childhoods. Some people came from super supportive and loving childhoods. Some people were spoiled as children, and that's what they're the people that struggle the most sometimes. You're seeing kids that grow up in like really rich families where the parents weren't hands-on. They're so disconnected.
Right.
They feel really weird and entitled, and they have a very distorted version of the future.
Yeah.
And those people, it's very hard to adjust from a place of bounty to a place of struggle and success and self-realization. It's almost more difficult for some of those people.
That's compassion.
Look, me growing up as a person who didn't have money, and thinking as when I was a child, my family was on welfare. Thinking, I still can remember, at least I have an idea of a memory of us drinking powdered milk. I remember that. I remember being really embarrassed if people would come over our house. We had powdered milk. We were poor, and that memory of being a young man, of being a struggling young comedian, doing a bunch of odd jobs, trying to make it, like this real hunger and worry. I remember one of the most embarrassing moments of my young life. I had this thing fall out. It was like some management company was interested in me, and they were like a music management company, and they were thinking about branching off into comedians. This guy was talking to me about it, and it was falling apart, and I was driving with my girlfriend, and I was 21, and the whole thing was so frustrating to me that I just started crying.
Wow.
Tears rolling, and I remember she looked over at me. She's like, "Are you crying?" And I was like, "Yeah, fuck, yeah." And she's like, "Oh." Like, she was like mocking the fact that I was crying.
Oh my God.
She couldn't help herself. She was same age. We were both like 21.
Right.
We were both kids. And she just thought it was a bitch move.
Yeah.
Just be crying about being frustrated about your career. And I remember being so embarrassed. Like, why did I let that out to her? Like, why did I let that out in public?
Yeah.
This frustration of not knowing where the future lies. But that frustration and that hunger of like wanting to figure out a way to get out of this cycle of working shitty jobs and figure out how to do something that I actually love doing, like be a comic. Like that burning hunger because you don't have shit. That's where it all comes from. When you don't know where the fuck you're going to pay your rent.
Right.
You do not have an escape route. There's no net. You got to figure this fucking thing out, man.
Yeah.
And you're not figuring it out right now. Right now it's falling apart, and nobody thinks you're any good. You can't get booked. You're like, fuck. You're trying to figure out what's the next job you're going to get so you could feed yourself while you try to figure out this weird thing that nobody could really tell you how to do.
Yeah.
But that going through that struggle, that is everything. But people need to hear that you went through it too. They need to hear that during the dark days where it doesn't seem like it's ever going to work out. Are you alive? Can you see? Can you talk? Can you think?
Yeah.
Get better. Get better. Get better at whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Just get better. So you suck at it now. Everybody sucks at everything when they first start. That's the whole thing about getting good at something. But if you love it and you're really honest, don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Look at it for what it is. Look at it for what it is and work on it. Whatever the fuck it is. Whether it's writing books or making music or composing computer code. Whatever the fuck you want to do. If you suck at it, get better.
Right.
But look at it for what it is. Look at it for really what it is. And that's one of our biggest problems. One of our biggest problems is that people have a really hard time looking at things for what they are if they're not flattering.
That's right.
Yeah, they want to think, oh, fuck this guy. Fuck this guy. This guy's a pussy.
Yeah.
No, that guy shot a fucking rocket into space with a car on it. Okay? And he did it with his mind. He figured out how to make these calculations. He figured out how to make enough money so he could shoot a car into space. If you don't respect that, he's digging tunnels under L.A. They're letting him dig tunnels. There's an earthquake-ridden area, and this motherfucker's digging holes in the ground. Yeah. We're worried about fracking, but we're like, Elon Musk got it. He said it's not going to cause an earthquake. It's not going to cause an earthquake.
Yeah.
We're worried about people fracking. We're not worried about Elon Musk turning our fucking city into Swiss cheese.
Yeah. But man, the thing is, the guy you're like creating an image of, the guy's like, fuck Elon Musk or that guy. Is real. That's real.
That's me. But I was 21.
Right, and you felt like
fucking queer.
And you felt like shit. Mm-hmm. That's the important thing. Is like that. That's all coming from feeling like shit. Yeah. And when you get around somebody who's acting like that, if you've looked into yourself enough to see where you feel like shit, and then you get around somebody and you realize like, oh, this person who's like being a complete fucking cunt to me right now feels like shit.
Yeah.
And this is I went to see the Dalai Lama in Anaheim, and
dude, you're partying with Ram Dass, the Dalai Lama.
Well, this was like not partying with I would love to party with the fucking Dalai Lama. I would love that. I really might nubbify my cock if I got a chance to party with the Dalai Lama
in space forever.
It's another thing to talk about. I'd love to be around that guy, man. Just because, like, when he was like so far down in this massive place, this little guy, you could feel the energy rushing off of this guy into the room. It was.
Were you tripping?
Maybe. but anyway, the thing that he said that has stuck with me is he's like, one of the things he says is so simple, and it reminds me of what you're saying now, is he said, you can always be kinder. And then the other thing he said, and it sounds so simple, but really people don't realize that, you can always be kinder in any moment. And then the other thing he said is, if someone's being unkind to you, it's not them being unkind to you, it's an echo, is what he said. Like, it's literally an echo of the unkindness, people being cruel to them throughout their lives, and that shit is bouncing off of them like sound. It's bouncing onto you. And so when you get around someone who's like being a shit, what you're really experiencing is that you're a lot of sorrow from a lot of places you don't know. And that doesn't mean you're supposed to lay back and let them like spit on you or be a shithead to you or whatever, but it helps you find a little bit of compassion. Right. That's all. Just so you can be with that person and let them be what they are without adding more suffering to it.
Right. Yeah.
Which only compounds the situation.
Well, you have to learn how people are responding to that behavior too, and adjust accordingly. Do the hard work and look at yourself. And when people get super self-indulgent, one of the things that they do is they don't think about how other people are experiencing them. Right. Like, if you're around people like, the fucking worst luck always fucking happens to me. It's the same thing every day. Yeah. I'm at work. Fucking boss knows that I wasn't Mike that put in the work. I put fucking 65-70% of the work in.
That's it.
Me. I'm better. Why did she leave? Why did she leave? Those people are gross. You're like, I gotta go, man. I can't. When people start to go, what should I do? What is the worst thing people do to you? When they go, what should I do? What do you think I should do, man? I need some advice. Hey! No, you don't. That's not what's going on. You want me to talk about you. You're making me focus on you 100%. Yeah. You're not asking me for help. Fuck. You're not doing a goddamn thing for yourself. You're not helping yourself at all. What you're doing is making me concentrate on you.
Whoa,
hey, bro, dude. I'm fucking really feeling depressed right now. Well, do something about it. Wow. I'm not saying don't reach out to your friends, but I'm saying you got to do something too, man.
Right.
You can't just always talk about your problems. Man, I fucking talk about my problems. You didn't want to hear them. Because that's all you talk about.
Yeah.
Was your whole life a problem?
Right.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Maybe that's the way you're thinking. Maybe that's the way you're behaving, the way you mapped out your life. Right. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be there for your friends when issues arise. And certainly all of our friends are super supportive. We've all gone through some weird shit in our lives. We've all been super supportive. But if I'm super supportive to you, I know you're super supportive to yourself.
Yeah.
I know you're working on yourself too. Right. You're not just relying on me. Hey, bro, what should I do today? What should I do tomorrow?
Yeah.
What do you think? If you could sit down here with me for a few hours and map out my future, I would really appreciate it, man. Because it's just fucking hard out there for me, bro. You got it easy, Duncan.
Yeah.
This is bullshit, dude. You're fucking, you know, man, fucking, you had a good head start. You're a white guy from North Carolina. Fuck you, dude. That's what it is, man. They just come up with these toxic excuses for why their life is shit without ever looking inward. And they want you to admit your privilege and admit your fucking advantages, bro. How about you, Duncan?
Yeah.
How about you fucking admit it was easier for you than it is for me? Huh?
Right. But
my dad's an asshole.
But the question is, like, because I know exactly what you're talking about, and I know that person, and I know what
everybody
that is.
does.
But when I run into with that, is there's a part of me that, and I like what I know. Sometimes you just have to put someone. You have to like avoid their presence.
I thought you were gonna say put them on blast. I thought you were going gangster.
Not put them on blast. No, because it doesn't work. That doesn't work. But maybe it does for you. I don't know. But
it doesn't work.
But there's a.
They just get mad at you.
But right. So, but there is a thing of like this is where I might just be fucking naive or crazy, or one took over the line.
Sweet
but
Jesus.
I believe that with anybody that you're around, if you've cultivated love, like if you can really love them, even in the midst of that cyclone of bullshit that you're talking about, if you could look through the cyclone into their soul, like into what they are, that's love, and see that and love it, then the cyclone will start calming down a little bit right in front of you. I think it's possible. I think it's possible that and this is why I think it's fucking worth figuring out a way to cultivate this shit that you're talking about, so that when you get around a turd cyclone like that, you know, that you become potentially the person who, like, not by giving them money or giving them advice, but just by giving them love and letting them be this cyclone of shit for a second and loving it for real, you might be the thing that just like Musk's fucking Tesla hits the meteor and sends it into Earth, you might be the thing that dings the meteor of their life and prevents the catastrophe that they were spinning towards.
It's entirely possible, but it's also entirely possible that, like most things in life, you need a lot of various elements. You don't just need one person that you cling to. You need to look at humanity as a whole. You need to seek inspiration in the great work of others. And you need to look at yourself in a way that you think maybe perhaps other people look at you. And that is something that a lot of people don't do. And that lack of introspection and self-critical thinking is one of the reasons why people don't change. Because they don't adjust. Like, you're not the guy you were 10 years ago. I've known you for a long time. You're a better version.
Thanks.
Because you've adjusted. I mean, not that you were bad then. I loved you back then. You were awesome. But you're a more together, more philosophical, more at ease with yourself person than you were 10, 15 years ago. Like when we were living together, and we lived together when you were at a down spot. You're a totally different human now.
That was cool. And you were, and that's the thing, man, because you were like, in those moments when you were like, when we're riding in my fucking Mini Cooper and I'm trying to listen to Elliott Smith and you know I'm depressed, and you're like, dude, what are you listening to? What the fuck are you listening to? I'll never forget that. And I'll tell you, man, in my head, I'm like, what a dick. You know what I mean?
I was definitely being a dick.
Yeah, but what that was like, it was what you were doing is helping me, like, get out of that vibration that I was in.
You were wallowing in it.
Yes. And I needed in those moments when you were doing that shit, I was like in my head resisting, and I'm like, you know, but that's the other thing. When you decide to help somebody in that way, you can't expect it's going to happen. Their shift or change is going to happen instantaneously. But because of that, I still, to this day, when I put on Elliott Smith, I think of that moment, man. I hear your voice in my head going, Duncan, what are you doing? Because, you know what I mean? Because, and I'll tell you why, man, because sometimes you can listen to Elliott Smith and not be wallowing, and it's just really pretty and sweet. But don't listen to that shit if you're wallowing, because it's like, it's only...
Don't feed the wallow.
Don't feed the wallow.
Don't feed that wallowing spirit inside of you. You don't need to feel that. Like, everybody experiences loss, and everybody experiences bad moments. You're just going to. You're never going to get life perfect, right? So during these bad moments, what you got to realize is just accept it, feel it, get through it, realize it's a journey that you're going to get through, but realize that there's better ways to navigate it than some. And some ways are really bad. Heroin's a really bad way to navigate it. You start doing heroin and start fucking listening to Elliott Smith and go holding a knife over your stomach in the middle of your fucking bedroom going, fuck it, man. Fuck it, man. You can't do that. You can't do that. Well, you can. But, but it's not the healthiest way to go. That's going to give people around you and you yourself the most joy. It's not necessarily selfish. It's self-indulgent for sure. I don't necessarily think it's selfish. I think it's just it's a pattern of behavior that you can get trapped in. And I think we've all been in bad situations where you just feel like shit. Like you get in a pattern of behavior and you feel trapped. But you gotta learn from other people who have been through those patterns and learn from your own experiences getting through patterns.
Because you will. That's the thing, man. It's like, when you get around someone who's like a teacher figure like you, or you get around someone who's like really doing it from love and not trying to fucking like fuck with you, because that can happen too.
That's the worst.
Or be superior to you or whatever.
Like put you down and
put you down. When you get around somebody who's like doing it out of love, there is such a massive difference in the way that feels, and what they do quite often, or what a lot of my teachers do, which is really fucking cool. Because like in the same way you've seen me kind of go shift, a lot of my teachers from the Ram Dass camp, like in the beginning, when I was actively trying to offend them, because that was what I would try to do, is like
just be funny.
Not be funny, because I was thinking, if I can offend these people about the practice they're teaching me, and they're like, hey, you can't say that, or that's blasphemy, or anything like that, then I know to get the fuck out of there, because it's like, you know what I mean? Because
so you were calculated?
Fuck yeah, I was calculated. With one of my teachers, Ragu, I would like...
His name's Ragu, like the spaghetti sauce?
Well, it means a different thing in the
fuck it does. Change your name, bro.
No, it means...
Change it.
Hey,
my name's SpaghettiOs, but listen, bro, don't think about it like that. My master SpaghettiOs taught me. What the fuck did you say?
He's amazing. And like in the same way you're doing that with him.
Garlic.
The same way you're doing that with him, I would try to do that with like their teachers, and I would try to do that too, because I was like, fuck it, if they get mad at me,
right,
then I know. Then who cares if there's a thing where I don't like blasphemy? I don't like the idea I can blaspheme, man. That freaks me the fuck out. But it was like with Neem Karoli Baba, they tell me these stories, and I'd be like, I just don't really believe that, man. Like, I don't know if I believe that shit. And Ragu, I still remember saying that, walking at the retreat with him in Hawaii, and he gets a big smile on his face. He's like, yeah, don't blame me for not believing it. And it's like, whoa, cool, man. This is fucking cool.
Yeah.
And like, so when you get around a real teacher, what I'm saying is the place that you're at, they let you be there, but they're not like, in the sense that they're letting you do the pattern that you're in, but by allowing that to happen in its own way, and then adding to it the intention of like, I think I'm going to help you grow here. That's when you really start changing. Not when someone's like, when you were in the car and listening to Elliott Smith, and you were fucking recognizing in me a lot of sadness and a lot of fucked upness. You weren't scolding me, dude. You were giving me love, but the way you were giving me love was by making fun of me in this really sweet way, and it worked. You know what I mean? It was. So that's the thing. That's what a real teacher does, and that's why it's like, to learn how to get to that spot is one of the most important things you could do.
Well, it's also from a selfish standpoint, when you have a good friend that is all of a sudden looking for a place to live, and then they could live with you. It's cool. It's fun.
Right.
But it also feels really good to help somebody, and to help somebody that you love and you really care about. So, I mean, I don't even think I thought about it for 3 seconds. When you called me up and you were in a hotel room, I go, dude, come live with me.
Yeah.
It was like instantly.
There was no hesitation.
Like, hey, Duncan's living with me. Like instantly. I was like, you got a place to live, dude. You never have to worry about not having a place to live. I wanted you to, and also I've had a lot of people that I've offered the tank to. Like, anytime you want, come on by, you can use the tank. You were the only guy who used it on a regular basis. Like when Tate lived with me, he didn't touch that fucking crazy thing. He's like, fuck this. He might have got in there once, I don't know, but that was not his style at the time, But you were in there all the time, and you were writing journals and shit when you get out of there.
Yeah.
We would talk about it. You would talk about your inner voyage when you'd go in that tank and just think about your life and how you're what you're doing and what happened and what went wrong and where you're headed to, and just look, man, the fucking stress of trying to be a professional comic it fucks you. Sure. And you know how I know it fucks you? Because it fucks me every 2 years. Every 2 years when I abandon my act and put out a special and then have to write a whole new one, and I'm goddamn sweating just thinking about it right now. Like Tom Segura's going through that right now. Ari's going through that right now. Yeah. That's the shedding of all you've got. Yeah. And then you got to start from scratch. It's fucking terrifying again. And that's the thing that makes you keep growing. It's the thing that makes you keep growing. Sure. But when you haven't had any success, like when you were in the beginning of your career and it just hadn't happened yet, you don't really believe it can happen. But once you do have it happen, then you go, oh, I see. You just got to get through that.
But dude, the thing you're talking about with the comedy, it applies to everything. And it's like it's because what you're talking about, someone was telling me, like, if a snake doesn't successfully shed its skin, it dies. And so a person is the same way, in the sense that many of us cling to ways that we were, thinking that's who we still are, when we're not.
Yes.
And you have to that learn what parts of yourself to let go of. Like, and you have to have the guts to fucking let go of it. And dude, that is one of the craziest things when you really have a thing that you've become attached to. For a lot of people, it's a relationship that sucks. You end up in a bad relationship, a bad job. You end up just attached to some version of yourself that you just aren't anymore. That's not who you are.
Right.
You got to let go of that.
You got to let go of it.
And letting go of it is death. It's a form of death. It feels like death. And so people want to avoid it. And what ends up happening is you run into people who are just fucking don't even realize that they're valets covered in bags from all these they're hoarders, and they won't let go of all these things, all these ways they used to be. So that's the what I've learned is that through this act of like scanning the self or looking into the self, you'll find places where you're stuck. Like, for example, you were saying, oh, I get jealous. I was getting jealous of these people. I was getting jealous. Well, you were stuck there. That was the place.
It wasn't just jealous. It was worse than that. It was toxic. Like I didn't like them.
Yeah.
I was mad at them.
Yeah. You were stuck.
Yeah.
And you were attached. And you were like, and that attachment was making you feel
unhappy, miserable,
heavy. The feeling is literally
not just that, weak.
I
felt weak.
Well,
that was what really bothered me.
Because all the energy that's being put
no, weak in my judgment of myself.
Oh yeah.
Not weak like tired, like didn't have the energy. Weak like, oh, you bitch.
Right.
You bitch. You're just jealous.
You're jealous. Oh, yeah.
That's you? That's you now?
Yeah. I know, man. And these are like, like when fuck, dude, when you get a really bad muscle spasm, and then you go to a masseuse, and that moment when the thing finally gives way, and you're like, oh my, that place in your back that hurts so bad suddenly just feels like you're back again, and you're like, well, the same thing happens with suffering. So the suffering in a lot of people's lives, the repeating suffering, that's a karmic muscle spasm, and it's like until you literally push into it. And the same way you get rid of a muscle spasm, it fucking hurts, man.
Right.
Until you like get the blood flow going back into that place and really fucking go deep into why do I get jealous? For me, the thing I just figured out or that's haunted me is just jealousy in relationships. It's like, why do I do this? What is this? This is just like you're saying, it's weak. It's not a good look. I don't like it.
And it's indulgent. Like while you're doing it, you realize it's gross.
Yes.
And you keep doing it.
Yes.
And you're like, oh my God, I'm being a bitch and I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
No, you fucking texted him first.
Yes. That, Joe. It's so humiliating and so embarrassing and so fucked up and so brutal to the person you're with.
Yeah.
So
sad.
like that thing, I've figured out how to let it go. It's the illusion. I'm not putting out there that you can conquer, eternally parts of your identity or whatever, but I've been able to let that go. And that feeling of really being able to let it go, wow, man, to me, that's one of those monumental things when you can start dropping these things.
Yeah.
And it's different for everybody. Everybody's got their own fucking muscle spasm. But you'll know what it is. You know what people listening to it right now, you know what it fucking is.
We are incredibly we are incredibly susceptible to patterns. Incredibly susceptible.
Yeah.
And if you have a pattern of weakness and you accept it over and over again, it can define you.
Yeah.
And you have to be really careful of that.
You got it. Well, yeah. And what's the beauty of it though is the very fucking thing that's hurting you like that. It's also simultaneously the thing that's like
it's your fuel for improvement.
Yeah, it's like you're turning your trap. This is such a cheesy thing that I thought. And I'm never gonna like make it a blog post or anything. So forgive me, but I did think about this. It's turning your trap into a trampoline. It's like you find this fucking.
Are you a self-help speaker?
Honey,
I can see you right now in a theater.
I know. That's why I do
with like a big screen behind you. It's turning your trap
into a trampoline. Now give me your money. I know, that's why I deserve to be made fun of for it, and I'm not going to ever use that in a book or in a blog post or anything. But I really do like the concept of like finding the place you're stuck and realizing that that's not a place you should avert your eyes from, but in fact, more than likely, that's a door.
Right.
That's a fucking door, and you can go through that door into a whole new existence where you're no longer horrified by yourself, and that is really exciting. It's a really fucking wonderful moment, you know, not just in comedy, but I think in anything.
It's always a powerful thing to improve. That's one of the things that's good about doing things that you're not good at. Is that you get the opportunity to see what happens when you work at something and then you improve. And I think that applies to everything. I think if you learn how to play a game and get really good at a game, I think that figuring things out in your mind, how to get good at this game, applies to life. I think you could get caught up in a game where like chess or whatever it is becomes your whole life, and then it's almost too much, right? But you could also use things like chess or a lot of different things. Like people have a heavy prejudice against video games, but it's been absolutely proven that video games can enhance many aspects of the way people think and problem solve. It's been proven. I mean, there's studies that people are doing on it, but we associate video games with wasting time, slacking off, being a loser. Meanwhile, Jamie, what the fuck were you just telling me the other day about how much money these guys make when they're playing Twitch?
Thousands of dollars a day, if not hundreds of thousands a month.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars a month playing fucking video games. How is being a lawyer better than that, you fucking asshole?
Right.
Is it about making money? What is it about? Because these Twitch guys got you beat, fuckface.
Yeah.
You're out there just making people get divorced and raking in the cash. This guy's shooting aliens on Twitch, and he's making way more.
Yeah.
You're a loser.
Yeah.
He's flying private.
Back up. You're not in my thoughts at all.